everyone, I am your host Tay, and welcome back to another episode of the All Things Lifestyle Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in for another week, and I hope you guys are doing well. And if you are enjoying this podcast, go ahead and follow the show and subscribe so you can know when I upload every week on Thursdays. I'm doing good. It's morning time it's like late morning. It's 10 a.m. I'm recording this. I got up, went to the gym, and had breakfast. Now I'm just drinking some tea. I'm having some black tea. It's like lemon flavored black tea. It's pretty good. I've gotten into the habit of not putting sweetener in my tea. I actually hate sugar in tea, because the taste of sugar is so artificial and in tea is so natural. I don't like that. I don't like putting sugar in my tea. I will put a little bit if I'm somewhere and they don't have honey or agave or any kind of natural sweetener. But I hate sugar in tea. Hence why I've always hated sweet tea. Sugar and tea to me just does not go together. I don't know. It just doesn't. maybe in different ones. See, I drink a lot of like black teas, oolong teas, green teas. So no, I don't want to put sugar in those. Maybe like a different kind of tea. But I'm not a sugar and tea person. I'm like honey or agave. But lately I have been drinking my tea just raw. Like just brewing it and drinking it, like not putting any sweetener. It's definitely something to get used to, but I feel like it's healthier to drink it that way. It's definitely healthier to drink it that way without putting anything in it. So I have gotten into the habit of that. Like I said, it's definitely something to get used to. It's kind of bitter a little, but I don't know. I just like tea. I just like it hot, like the way it makes me feel. It just makes me feel good. So yeah. So today I'm going to talk about podcast culture and all the aesthetics. So it's no secret that everybody has been starting podcasts, like including me. I just started this podcast last year. Everyone starting podcasts it's a thing, like podcast culture. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about all the different aesthetics on social media, mostly like on TikTok and Reels, like the girls, that girl, the it girl, the clean girl, all those trends, aesthetics, and all that, and the feeling pressured of the aesthetics too. So I'm going to talk about that later on. But before we get into that, I have been seeing a lot of people like on social media talk about how they feel pressure to start the new year, like to get your goals in, to plan this and plan that and X, Y, and Z. Like I know I put out a whole podcast episode about planning your new year and organization tips, but I don't feel like you should feel pressured the first week of the new year. Like it was never that serious. Like I just feel like the new year I feel like I love a new year because it's a great start. It's a great reset, but you don't have to feel pressured to start your new year on January 1st if you feel like you don't want to start it on January 1st, because that's how I felt last year. This year I'm feeling a little more New Year spirit. So I have been starting my new year, this past week since January 1st. But last year I started my new year on February 1st because January just wasn't it for me. Like I just was not in a place to do things. Like it didn't start. I think I mentioned this on my very first episode. I think I talked about this a little bit. Like my first episode last year went up on the 20th of January. And I had just got into the like, okay, new year, reset, let's organize, let's, do all the things. I was not January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I was not in the spirit. I was not in the new year spirit. So I just feel like it's a lot of pressure for people to start. Like I feel like I've been seeing a lot of people say they feel pressured to start. And I don't feel like you have to feel pressured. And that's the thing with social media. It's just if you take it, I don't know. For me, I take social media with a grain of salt. I don't take really anything on social media like seriously. I pretty much all I do is play. Like I just laugh. That is the main reason I have social media, to be honest. Like the laughs, I just get a kick out of it because people on there are so funny. The comedians and everything, I just love it. But to actually sit there and take it serious, like, oh my God, I'm stressed out, everybody is starting, I feel behind and all that stuff. No, I definitely don't feel like that, and you should not feel like that. I've been seeing that on social media. My TikTok, not really, mostly on like YouTube. Like I'll see like YouTubers say that, and I'm like, no, like I wouldn't feel behind because everybody's in different seasons. If you're not in the season to where you're ready to jumpstart, get your new year going, and do everything that you want to do for the new year, it's okay to start February 1st. I did that last year. And then another thing too, you're not going to be productive 12 months in a row. It's just not going to happen. Like we all have our off weeks. We all have our off months. You can have 3 months, you know what I'm saying? You can have like a whole quarter of where you be like, wow, I did not accomplish anything. But again, I say this all the time, give yourself grace and there's always tomorrow. That is why God gives us a tomorrow, because we can't do it all every single day. It's just not going to happen. Everybody else is on social media posting, vision boards and my goals for the year, my goals for the quarter. Don't feel behind. It's okay. If you don't want to start your new year to February, it's fine. So next thing I wanted to talk about. So I've talked about this show, I think on a Tune In with Tay, maybe like a November episode. I can't remember which episode, but I mentioned the Impact Atlanta show with Ari and Tay and Jada. And who else is on there? Lakia and Des. Of course, Des Dior. That's my girl. Mentioned that show or whatever. So I was just watching Lip Service with Angela Yee, and Jada was on there. And Angela asked her, like, are you going to be returning for a season 2? So I guess that's like a little insider thing. There will be a season 2, maybe. And Jada was like, no. Jada was like, that show wasn't for me. I feel like Jada is not a reality. I don't feel like she's a reality TV kind of person, because the way she was saying it, like she said that they didn't use what they filmed, the edits, like it would be stuff that they didn't even see when the show would air. Like they would even send them edits, but it was still different when they aired it. I've heard that a lot about reality TV. Like it'd be things that they do, they'd be like, they didn't even put that on the show. These producers, that's their show. So I feel like the people in the reality shows can have a little bit of a say, but the producers, is their show. So I feel like they have the most say. And I feel like they're going to want, most attention. So of course they're going to put the drama of it all. And I feel like that's another thing too. She didn't like, with the whole Ari. I feel like the show really put like a light on her, Ari, when I personally don't even feel like they were even friends to begin with. Like I don't even feel like they were super close. And I feel like the show they did that with the show. Like they tried to make it seem like, oh, Ari and Jada is super close, and then they fell off because their sons used to play together. I mean, they're both in the music industry and their sons are around the same age, so they probably didn't want to get them, together. But I don't feel like Jada and Ari were actually really ever friends. I just feel like, they did that for the plot on the show. And I feel like that's another reason why Jada was like, no. Like, I feel like they put her in a weird situation with it. And yeah, Jada was like, no. And even though, like, on the show, Jada did play victim a lot. Like, that's another thing, too. Like, I feel like Jada probably like, no, like, she was pretty much saying on the show, like, my product, my business was booming. I got my business out there, promotion and all that stuff. And she said, y'all see what y'all needed to see. And that's it. But she said she has been doing, like, actual, like, acting instead of, like, reality. So I was like, yeah, maybe she said she's more into acting now. But yeah, no, I don't blame her, because reality TV, it just seems like a lot. And with her and Ari, their drama, it just was it was kind of annoying a little bit, because I don't know, like, even like I said, I don't even think they were really friends. I just think they was just cool. They both date people in the music industry. They was around each other probably, and like they hung out maybe a few times, but I don't feel like they were as close as friends as the show tried to make it seem. But I don't know. Let's go ahead and get into the affirmation. So the affirmation this week is, I am grateful for every experience. I am grateful for every experience. Just going to talk about it really quick. I feel like it's important to be grateful for every experience. And I'm really talking to myself too, like actually when I say this, because sometimes things in life happens where you're like, okay, this is not what I had planned, but it's an experience and it happened for reasons. If you have an experience and you're like, damn, why did this happen? Whether if it was good or bad, it's just be grateful for the experience. And I feel like I am Definitely grateful for every experience. There's always a little bit of something to take away from every experience. And for my product of the week is my Polaroid camera. So my Polaroid camera, I first got it in, I've had that camera for a while. I've probably had it like for 4 or 5 years. I got it a while ago, and I love it. Still love it to this day. I'm a person, I'm like, oh, I want to take a picture. I want to take a video. I'm just that person. I love making memories and I love documenting things. And I like the Polaroid camera because it's like, it's fun to use. It's small, and then it instantly prints the Polaroid picture. It's just so fun to use, and I just love it. And I like the old school 90s aspect of it. I take it on trips, like my family trips, or like, when I'm out with my friends, and I try to remember. Sometimes I forget and I'd be so mad, but I try to remember. Like, it was one time, for my friend's engagement, I meant to bring it to the gardens for the actual engagement where he proposed, but I forgot it. But I did take some when we got back to the house and stuff. But yes, I love my Polaroid camera. I think it's time for me to get a new one because, like I said, I've had this one for like 4 or 5 years, so it's kind of old. It gives out sometimes. Like, sometimes I'll click it and the picture won't snap, but then the next picture will snap. And I get like the big jumbo things to film for like $40-$50 because it just lasts, because I don't take it everywhere, mostly on like special occasions and when I'm all together with family and friends or something like that. But yeah, or like if I'm out somewhere, like I remember I took it, like we were out, me and my sister and my nephew, we went to the museum in DC and we took some cool Polaroids in there. And if you haven't tried out a Polaroid camera, what are you doing? You need to try it. It's so fun to use. So let's dive into more of podcast culture. So like I said, podcasts have just taken over. There's a podcast for everything. It's the new wave. It's our modern day radio. Like, podcasts have taken over. You can listen to it anywhere, anytime. It's literally at your fingertips on your phone. So I love celebrity podcasts, honestly, because, I want to say celebrity podcasts, like podcasts where celebrities come on to get interviewed, because I don't know if you notice, like, sometimes when celebrities would get interviewed by people like mostly like journalists and stuff like that, like, they would purposely be messy. And I always hated that because it's like, of course, like, we love a little messy, a little bit sometimes here and there. A little messy is good and fun, but nobody wants to hear that all the time or see that all the time on interviews. And I like it now where it's like, you'll have a host and you'll have a celebrity and they'll just like talk like, okay, so what inspired you to do this? And what's a day like for you? Things like that. Like, I don't know. I'm into stuff like that. Like, I love products. So like when they ask like, oh, your favorite products to use, or what's a day for you? What's a day in the life for you? How often do you be in the studio? Like, we really get like some behind the scenes, like, chat about what they really, what they go through and things that they really feel, go into their childhood. Some, podcast hosts be going deep in it. Like, I remember, I just watched Angie Martinez's podcast. Angie's podcast IRL with Lauren London, and they talked about, the death of Nipsey and how she felt and what she went through. I like stuff like that. How they're getting the celebrities and where you're actually like really having conversations versus like, an interview and being messy and going on about your day. Like, so I like that aspect of getting a different insight on things when it comes to the celebrities and seeing them in a different light and a different perspective. And there's a podcast for everything. Like, comedy podcast, true crime podcast. I do like true crime. I just actually got into true crime podcast because I like true crime TV shows. So I feel like I would like the podcast, and it's just good. It's just entertainment. But yeah, you can find a podcast for everything. True crime, sci-fi, chit chat podcasts like, like mine. I just, chit chat, talk about different topics. Self-help podcasts. I got to be in the mood for, different kind of podcasts. The type of podcast where I can listen to like anytime are like chit chat. I could listen to that anytime, but I have to be in the mood for certain ones, especially self-help ones. I have to be in the mood to be like, okay, I got my notebook, I'm writing stuff down, I'm taking notes, I'm paying attention. I got to be in the mood for those kind of podcasts. And every time you turn around, everybody is starting one. Like I just said, like every time you turn around, somebody's starting a podcast. And I feel like it's important to stick with it because, you get your podcast out there, people listen to you and they might, get attached to your show. And you want to stick with it. On the other side of podcasts, so we have the podcast where it's like fun, funny, lighthearted, whatever. But then you got the podcast where it's just like toxic. And it's either a podcast where people are bashing women, people are bashing men about what a woman should be doing or what a man should be doing. I just don't feel like I don't know. I just don't feel like a person should tell another person what they should be doing. Me personally, I'm going to tell a person what I like and what I want, but I'm not going to tell a person you should be doing this for me. Because what if they don't want to? What if they don't want to do those things for me? And I feel like if a person likes you enough, they're going to naturally do those things. And I feel like that's what a lot of these toxic podcasts is like. I feel like people start those kind of podcasts just to put their toxicness, is that a word? Toxicness? Their toxicity out in the world. So, and there's somebody's jumping on the bandwagon. So people love it because they're everywhere, all the podcasts about, and like I said, what men and women should be doing. I can't, think of an exact podcast or whatever, but like, because I don't really listen to them, but I always see them like, on the Shade Room and stuff like that, and see snippets and clips of them. But I'm like, okay, y'all, like, we get it. And it's kind of like the same thing in rotation. And it's like, okay, we get it. Like, women should be cooking, cleaning, and doing this for you. Women should be doing this for you. And it's like, you can't really say that because everybody's different. And I don't still feel like a person should be telling another person what they should be doing. Like, how you gonna tell me? For me, example, with my podcast, some of my episodes, like, I'll give, like, my experiences and I'll give, like, my opinion. And I feel like that's fight, too, where it's like, are they being toxic or are they just giving their opinion? But it's a difference because you could give your You could give your I cannot talk. You can give your opinion and give your experience. But at the same time, it's like you can't talk down about it, like about another person. You know what I'm saying? Like you can be like, okay, this is my experience, yada, yada, yada. This is my opinion on what happened. Everybody got an opinion. But it's a difference with like just talking about your experience and just straight up just bashing people. Like, I just feel like, I don't know. I just can't, I don't know. I just feel like some are definitely unnecessary. Like some episodes that I see, like some clips and snippets, it just be unnecessary. But then again, a lot of that stuff too was like, do they really feel like that, or is it just to get the listens and the likes and the follows and the traction and attention? And I feel like a lot of that is that too, like attention seekers. People want attention too. People do a lot of things for attention. They may sit here and say all these things on a podcast and how they feel about certain things, but I feel like they're just doing it for attention anyway. A lot of that stuff I think is really for attention. But I digress. I wrote down, are podcasts just a trend? I don't feel like podcasts are just a trend. I feel like podcasts are going to be around for a while. Like I said, it's our modern day radio. Probably listening to this episode right now in the car. You listen in the car. You can listen while you're cleaning up. Listen to while you're doing like a mindless task. It's like I said, it's something easy to just throw on because it's on your phone. You could go to your phone, go to your Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio, and you can just turn it on. Well, podcast is definitely a good way to get some good content in and still do something at the same time. Or if you just want to sit there and listen, I just feel like podcasts are good for that. But I feel like podcasts are going to be around for a while. Now, I'm going to talk about the aesthetics and the trends. Like I said, that girl, the clean girl, soft girl, all those trends on social media. I did do an episode on here. I did it, I want to say like last, maybe summertime or fall. I think it was fall. The soft life, soft girl era. I did an episode on it, but my definition of soft life is different than the soft life that is portrayed mostly on social media. Like, they literally sit here and say like soft life, like, oh, I don't have to work. I don't have to work hard. What I think will come to me. What I want will come to me. And like I said, I mentioned this in the podcast too. In the Soft Life podcast episode that I did. I don't believe that. I feel like you still need to work hard. And, you still got to work a little. Maybe work a little bit for what you want. That's just how I feel. Unless you literally got it like that. Unless you literally got it like that. But I feel like most of the time, you got to work for what you want. Like we all do. And between TikToks and Reels, there's so many aesthetics. And I feel like all that girl, the it girl and all that stuff, I just feel like it's all the same thing. But it's just called something different. Like, if you pay attention to, that girl morning routine, the it girl, the clean girl, it's all the same thing. It's putting your hair in a certain style. What is the clip, the slick back bun, the clip or whatever. Going to Pilates, drinking a matcha. It's the same thing, or being organized. And again, these aren't bad trends or bad aesthetics. They're not, because I feel like they're promoting us, go to Pilates, go to the gym, or it's not even just Pilates, like going to the gym, period. Go to the gym and work out. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the trends aren't bad. It's just it's all called different things, but it's all doing the same thing. And again, it's something to make content. It's called different things just to name the content different names, like, that girl, the it girl, and I keep saying that, but it's the same thing. I just feel like, because like I said, they're going to the gym, drinking their matcha, organizing. What else? It's the same thing, and it has the same background, and again, it's the same aesthetic, and that's what it is with aesthetics. So I feel like a lot of people say on social media and stuff, how can I choose my aesthetic? And I feel like people take a lot of those TikToks and Reels to heart. I don't feel like, and I don't want to call people fake. I'm not calling they're faking that girl and all that stuff, but they're mostly doing it for content purposes. I don't feel like everybody has that perfect aesthetic pleasing apartment all the time, 24/7. It's just not. I just don't feel like it's realistic. And not saying they're dirty or nothing, but no, I don't feel like everybody has a perfectly aesthetic house, a perfectly aesthetic apartment every single time. It's literally just for the vibes. It's the vibes, you know what I'm saying? So I just feel like you shouldn't be pressured to want that exact aesthetic. And even with aesthetic, sometimes you don't need the perfect aesthetic. There's no rules to wanting things to look nice, because that's pretty much what these aesthetics are, just looking nice and looking perfect, looking pristine and stuff like that, just looking nice. And for me, I don't feel like I have an aesthetic, but I do like things to look nice. I like things to be organized. I like things to be put in their place. I don't like color, but I haven't liked color since I was a kid. The only really color I like is a muted pink. Hence, that's the color of my logo for my podcast. But I like a muted pink, but I'm more of neutrals. I like nudes, browns, creams, black, white. I'm more of that. If you see me, I'm always wearing black. I'm always wearing black. It's just, I'm always wearing black. I'm always wearing gray. It's just white. It is what it is. Or denim, blue. Is very, very minimal for my outfits. Sometimes, mostly summertime is when I'll do color. But most of the time, I'm in, neutral colors. But it's not, I wouldn't even say it's for the aesthetic. It's just, that's just what I like. And the reason I wear black all the time is because it makes me look slimmer. You know what I'm saying? Just things like that is why I wear certain things. But again, it's not for the aesthetic. It's literally personally what I like. I know some people, literally the things that they do on the TikTok and the reels and everything for the aesthetic, some of it might be for the aesthetic, but some of it is literally, this is what they like to do. They like to organize, their fridge and have things organized in their fridge. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just what they like to do, and they want to share it with the world. But when every single thing is like, oh, this is aesthetic, this is aesthetically pleasing, and when everything, it's like, social media is, it gives us these, like, oh, we're supposed to be doing this, we're supposed to be achieving this, we're supposed to be acting like this, we're supposed to be dressing like this, we're supposed to be eating this. And it's like, do what's right for you and just be healthy. Like, I don't feel like but again, these are the, influencers and everything, and I'm highly influenced. Like I said, it's not promoting bad things. So that's the main thing of the current trends and the aesthetics. It's not a bad thing, except the soft life. Like I just mentioned, the soft life era. Like, I don't have to work. Like, no, I don't. Not subscribing to that. Even though, I mean, not saying if I meet a rich man and he want to take care of me. I mean, I still feel like I'm gonna have my own income though. I can't just ask him for money all the time. I don't know. That's just weird to me. That's just weird. But yeah, every woman want to be put up. I mean, I can't speak on every woman, but most women want to be put up and they want to be taken care of. So, that's the not dreaming of working, not wanting to do hard work and all that stuff. But you might have to work hard if you want nice things, And even with all the aesthetics, it's like, it's cool to try something different. If you want to try something different, that's fine. And if it doesn't work for you, that's fine too. I feel like everybody has their own aesthetic anyway, because everybody lives their life differently. Nobody lives their life the same. It may seem like everybody's living their life the same on TikTok and reels and all that stuff. It all looks the same, but in reality, everybody's not living their life the same like that. But yeah, it's just, I do feel like it's like a thing, to have that aesthetic, to do this and that and the third. I just feel like, just be you. And if you don't have an aesthetic, then you don't have an aesthetic. It is okay. Like, I don't feel like I have an aesthetic. I just like things to look nice. And that might be an aesthetic, but I don't know. I just like things to look nice, but I don't have everything organized, like in my apartment. I don't have everything in my cabinets organized. My pots, my fridge, my closet, my vanity, my storage under the sink, my bedroom. Everything's not organized. I go in bits and pieces and organize different things, but you could organize your kitchen and then you can move on to your closet 2 weeks later and your kitchen might have gotten a little off. That is my opinion on podcast culture and the aesthetics and the trends and all that stuff on social media. If you're listening on YouTube, comment and let me know what you think about podcast culture and aesthetics and all the things that I just talked about in this episode. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and thank you so much for tuning in to another week. And I will talk to you guys next week. And remember, it's a lifestyle. Bye.